What's up, folks? So, Mandalorian this week, huh? That was pretty crazy. Episode 7 of season 2, right? Episode 15 overall. What a great episode. Bill Burr. Bill Burr in the episode. Ha! Yeah, Bill Burr, man. Funny guy. He was doing good, too. And then sitting there, it's like looking at him thinking, I've seen this guy somewhere before, seen this Bill Burr guy. I mean, no, I know he's in last season's episode with like the heist when they were like the prison break episode on the Republic ship. That was awesome. But no, I meant I'm thinking, I'm racking my brain. I'm like, I know where I've seen this guy before. I saw this guy in the Matrix, right? Cypher from the Matrix. That's not Cypher from the Matrix. No, that's. I mean that Bill. I mean, you can understand how I might get that wrong, right? They're two great sci-fi franchises. You get Star Wars, you got The Matrix. I remember when my buddy Gary, he moved away. He moved up to Long Island. He called me back in 1999. Can you believe this is 1999 when The Matrix came out? Oh my God, 21 years ago. So he calls me and he says, he's like, Pat, you gotta watch this. You gotta watch this movie. I'm like, what movie are you talking about? He's like, The Matrix. I'm like, Keanu Reeves, man. Like, I mean, this is before Keanu Reeves was John Wick and was like, Johnny Silverarm or whatever he is in like the new Cyberpunk 2077. So like, and don't get me wrong, I'm a big Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure guy. But he had done like this romantic comedy and something, but even that though was kind of sci-fi. Wasn't that the one with the time traveling mailbox or something like that? I forget. I don't know. I never saw that. But at the time I was like, Keanu, like, he's a cool dude, but he's not a great actor. That's not. He's like, Don, and Gary's like, no, dude, you gotta watch this movie. It's you, man. You would love this movie. And the whole like reality being twisted thing, and the whole like everything's built on a lie, and of course the special effects were like groundbreaking and all that. But no, so Bill Burr is not Joe Pantoliano, if that's how you pronounce his name. That dude, they're two, but that you could understand why I got confused. They're two amazing performances, at least in my estimation, in two amazing franchises. So this is my brain is telling me that this is a steak. I know it's not a steak, but it's telling me it's a steak. I love that. And so this Bill Burr. So I'm checking out Bill Burr. So I start doing a little bit of research, obviously, to figure out that he's not the dude from the Matrix. And come across a guy, and he's got a podcast. And I'm like, and so I'm listening to him. And he's funny, man. He's really good. And I'm thinking, man, this dude's like, I don't know if he's my age, but he's talking about music that I like, that I understand at least. He's talking about movies that I've seen. He's talking about football and he's talking about players that haven't played in 20 years that I know. He's talking about Jerry Rice. He's talking about I know the dude's like obviously from Boston or something. He's a New England fan. And I get that. I'm a Pittsburgh fan. But like, you got to respect the Patriots. They kept us out a lot of times. I mean, Bill Cowher, I don't know if Belichick ate Bill Cowher's lunch, or if he dated his girlfriend in college, or I don't know what happened there. But something happened there because for whatever reason, Cowher could not beat Belichick in the big game. And we used to have a running joke that Cowher just wanted a ticket to Honolulu, back when they used to play the Pro Bowl then, because he would have the, AFC Championship games be hosted there. And that's as far as Bill could get, except the one time. Bill Belichick, not Bill Burr. So anyway, Bill Burr. So going back to, the Mandalorian, right? So, wow. I mean, we get to see like a former Imperial officer who turns out to like not like his former superior so much, maybe the reason he quit and goes rogue, goes AWOL or whatever his backstory is, and he gets to do the thing with he's got the. I mean, I figured he had the gun out under the table when he's talking to the Imperial officer, I figured that, But I thought he was going to do a Han Solo, a la Episode 4, or as I call it, Star Wars. Everybody else calls it A New Hope. I call it Star Wars. So I thought maybe, maybe he was going to do that. And of course, the 1977 Star Wars, not the what was it, 1991, 1990 Star Wars, where Greedo shoots first. I mean, at that point, like, who cares, right? Okay, Greedo's basically told Han Solo in the cantina that he's gonna kill him, and that's why he's there, over my dead body. Ukle Numa, right? That's the idea. Ukle Numa. I used to know that speech. I used to be able to do that Greedo speech, like the whole thing. Cheska, Luka, Jaboska. And they always sounded a little bit like Polish to me or something, but my girlfriend went to Poland once. She says it's not Polish. So maybe it's a cross between like an Eastern European dialect and Japanese. I don't know. There's a little bit of this. It fascinates me. So, but yeah, I mean, Han Solo's got to protect himself, man. But can imagine being like the owner of that bar, that cantina. I mean, you just had like a guy dismembered, well, a walrus, dismembered in your bar, and like there's blood, which is weird because like don't lightsabers. I mean, why is there blood? Wouldn't that cauterize the wound as it goes through the eye? Okay, and then there's no flesh in it's just a hollow. So does it like disintegrate the guy, or because later when like Darth Vader strikes down Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, the original Star Wars, aka Episode 4, A New Hope for you newbies. They yeah, I mean, like he disappears, he just disintegrates. So you could get confused, I think, and think that maybe it was like a disintegration weapon instead of a cleaver, But anyway, so I digress. So yeah, but if you're the owner of that cantina in Mos Eisley Spaceport Cantina, which actually I made some pottery and put that onto, it was pretty cool, actually, off that. I don't know if I ever get around to making an Instagram, I'll show you these guys. So I mean, you got to clean up after that guy, and then as soon as you get done cleaning up that mess, now you got the local fight like freighter jockey in the and he's got a bounty hunter after him, and so now boom, you got to clean up that mess too. So what's that all? I mean, that's a tough bar, man. That is a tough bar. Anyway, yeah, so I thought that Bill Burr's character was going to go ahead and, what's his name? Mayfeld. He's going to, like, shoot him under the table. But no, he pulls his gun out and just blasts him right in the face over top of the table. I mean, how much do you have to hate this guy in order to do that? And then I really like that scene because everybody in the room just kind of looks at him for a second. And that's kind of realistic, right? Because like if something goes down like that, something unexpectedly severe, like extreme like that, you wouldn't see everybody just like going on and oh well, I think there would be a moment where everybody kind of looked around, assessed the situation to see what the heck was going on. I mean, that's the way I would see it, The other thing about that episode too, I mean, they did the thing where like they steal the other guy's uniforms, and there was an homage to this. So Bill Burr gets in the guy's uniform, the Imperial officer's uniform, and knock him out or whatever, and he's like, this guy stinks, he sweats and all this sort of thing, and it makes sense to, Jungle Planet, it's kind of, they set it up that way. But the only other time the first time I ever saw that in a movie was Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he's the Ark is on a German U-boat, and it's in a and it's right after Indy like somehow like swam with the U-boat or held on to the periscope of the U-boat, and so the idea is that the U-boat didn't submerge, that he just kind of like hung on to the hull of the U-boat, and he's still covered in water, from the Mediterranean. So they So he gets to the U-boat base on some island. Somehow the Nazis have set up a U-boat base at and then he like pulls this dude out, and it's pretty funny the way they pull him out. He must have been on a lanyard or something, and he just goes over top these boxes. So and then he puts on the guy's uniform, and the guy's too small. His uniform's too small. So anyway, they steal the uniforms. They're driving, and then they go through this village where these kids, and the one kid gives them this look, and that's when you know. I turned to my significant other, and I said to her, I said, you know, that's not good. They're gonna hijack the villagers gonna hijack this shipment, you know, and of the volatile fuel. They're gonna hijack it, and you know that was great. But it turns out they're pirates. It doesn't even say that they're like related to the villagers or whatnot. Are they pirates? Are they some independent group of rebels that are trying to make sure the Imperials don't, you know, can't use this for the bad Imperial purposes? I mean, we really don't know. But what ends up, it's kind of cool though, because it ends up that like Bill Burr, who was a bad guy, but is now on a mission with the supposed good guys, the Mandalorians, and actually a New Republic Marshal. So, you know, they are generally supposed to be the good guys, and they're trying to, you know, get into the Imperial base. But in order to do that, they have to like kill some other good guys who are basically terrorists from the Imperial point of view. Did you guys ever see that? Do you ever see the thing where they talk about the Empire was right? Type in the search, you know, actually here, I'll do it. The Empire was right. It shows, yeah, there you go. So it talks about, I don't even know who this guy is. I should probably subscribe to his channel. Yeah, but it talks about how, you know,
I
the
was
Empire
born
was
in a
right. And I'm giving you credit here, so you know, please don't. Yeah, I'm giving you some love. So I'm telling everybody to come and watch this. You know, so yeah, so the Empire was right, and it just argues that like, you know, the rebels were the bad guys in this situation. The Empire was about law and order, and in fact, the guy that Bill Burr like guns down says that. He says, you know, people want order. They don't want chaos. So like that's the whole point. So it's kind of cool. It's almost like you know, Favreau and Filoni read this stuff or watched this stuff, and they probably did. Actually, speaking of Favreau, my significant other, she loves that cooking show. I think it's called the Chef Show, where he gets to go around and eat all this great food and stuff. I'm assuming this is all shot way before COVID, and yeah, and they're just eating and having a good time. It's a good show, man. I mean, I like to cook, but the cooking shows, that's not like my first thing is like, let's sit down and watch this. But it's something that I can get on board with my girlfriend watching, because at least when she's watching that, she's not watching Gossip Girl or. I mean, all right, I mean, she's watched, or Gilmore Girls, and actually, I can get on board with either one of those sort of. I mean, like, obviously, it's kind of a soap opera. But, you know, I watch the space soap operas, so, like, you know, it's okay. I was into, like, you know, Babylon 5, and I was into, you know, and that was episodic, you know, and you know, and that was the first one that actually had a plan, though. That was like a story arc, you know, and that's why I like Star Wars, too, because, like, you know, Lucas, I think, had a plan, like an overall plan. I mean, you could see there are details where he messes up and it goes off course. Like, I just rewatched, well, I watched both versions almost side by side of Empire Strikes Back. The one that I have from like the 2005 DVD, I think it was, and then the one that's on Disney Plus. And I'm watching them back and forth, and I'm looking at different stuff. And if I were more tech savvy, I'd do a video where I just looked at the two different things. There are other people that have those out there, those videos. And they're good. They're really cool because they show you what the changes were and how they made them. but it changes the story, right? So like the scene where like the Emperor, let's see if I can find that. Side by side versions of Empire Strikes Back. Let's see if that, what comes up with that one. All changes made, that's it. The all changes made videos. Yeah. So yeah, this is another one that's really worth watching, guys. So subscribe to this dude here. You know, do that search and definitely subscribe to that. So I don't want to copy, I don't want to get into anybody's stuff here. So I don't want to, you know, step on anybody's toes. I'm helping you. I'm trying to like refer people to your page. So please don't strike me. Yeah, Empire Strikes. So yeah, where was it? Oh, right. So the main thing, the first thing that really popped out at me was the when Vader kneels down and communicates with the Emperor. You know, they're in the asteroid field, and he tells Admiral Piet to newly promoted Admiral Piet. Apology accepted, Captain Nita. You are now in command, Admiral Piet. Take the ship out of the asteroid belt so that we can send a clear transmission. That was it. So he's talking to the Emperor, and it's the old actor. It's the actor, the original actor from the Emperor. You know, they changed it. So like Palpatine, you know, from like Jedi ends up being in the new version dubbed in, and it changes. It changes what he says. He says the son of Skywalker, but he says also the son of Anakin Skywalker, and we didn't even know. We didn't really, you know, that wasn't in there. I mean, we heard the name Anakin before. We heard that in the original Star Wars because Obi-Wan Kenobi says it. But anyway, I'm getting way off course here. So, but it changes it because like they changed it so it's like there's, you know what's coming. You know, before you didn't know. You didn't know. The best thing about Empire Strikes Back, I mean, well, there's so many great things, but one of the things about Empire Strikes Back is that, you know, that reveal. You know, and if you haven't seen it, stop the video now if you haven't seen it, because I'm going to ruin a great movie moment for you right here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, I am your father. And in fact, I remember I just watched something where Mark Hamill was talking about how they had to film that, and they filmed, and he was sworn to secrecy, and everybody on set was sworn to secrecy, and I don't know if he said maybe they even dubbed it in later, or they shot a couple different versions so that nobody would know which one they were going to use. But like there was plenty of stuff that Lucas was doing on the fly. So like when before that scene, you know, where Luke's on Dagobah with, he's going to leave because he had the vision in his head of Solo being tortured and Leia, you know, being imprisoned, Chewie, and 3PO, and he's like, you know, my friends, I have to go help them. So he's talking to, you know, and Ben, the spirit of Ben comes back and gets like 0.5% of the gross of the movies for like 2 scenes of exposition. So he says, what a great deal for Alec Guinness, man. So he gets the yeah, he says, I gotta go. And so he's taken off, and there's the light, just the light on the Muppet, basically, which is really a clever way to do it. They didn't have to show the ship like taking off, just the light. And he goes, no, and, the ghost of Ben Kenobi says, that boy is our last hope. And of course Yoda says, no, there is another. So, you know, after watching that and having 3 years to speculate on who the other is, right? And now, of course, we all know, spoiler alert, turn off the video if you don't want to hear. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Leia is the hope, right? So she's she's his sister. That doesn't even, like, I don't even think he had that written yet, because there was talk about Lando possibly being the other. And this is all before midichlorians, and this was when anybody could be a Jedi. It was just the Force was just this mystical force. It didn't run in families. It wasn't like there was this royal bloodline of the Palpatines and the Skywalkers, and I mean, there was the father-son thing, but like that's a classic dramatic like tension, collapse the fiction kind of thing. Bring your parents, your relatives, your family, make it mean something, right? That doesn't necessarily have to like dictate how the Force works. But anyway, and then I couldn't believe the Mandalorian brought back midichlorians. But think about it, Mandalorian midichlorians. I mean, it's got basically, it sounds like a bad rap song. It's like I should make something up right now. If I knew anything about rap, I would probably try to. But my name is Obi-Wan, and I was from Tatooine. And I can't even do it. But so I wish they hadn't brought that back. But it looks like they're going to do it because it looks like the bad guy who was in the TIE Fighter at the end of season 1 is going to like try to clone people with the blood of the young one, Gungaroo. What do we call him now? Of the child. And anyway, Grogu. That's it. Grogu. I'm trying to remember like Rosario Dawson saying it now. I'm sorry, Osaka. Ahsoka. So yeah. Anyway, it's yeah. So they're gonna do the midichlorian thing. I mean, I'm starting to learn how to respect Favreau because I've been watching the other stuff he's doing, the chef show, and I love that. And I really don't know too many of the other movies he's made. I think I've seen a couple of them, but I can't remember which ones they are. But whenever somebody says, I'm like, oh, that's Favreau. Oh, that was good. And Filoni, you can tell, like, if you ever watch the Disney Gallery thing, if you have Disney Plus and you haven't watched the Gallery, I mean, it's just a bunch of guys sitting around a table, and the producers, and the hated Kathleen Kennedy, who I personally don't hate, but I mean, she's getting a lot of flack. Although I don't know now. I mean, there's all this new stuff coming out, so how can they be complaining about her now? But I don't know. I guess there were some choices made, and anyway, but they talk to the directors, and they talk to like they do other things, music and things like that. But let's not talk about the music right now. But the I mean, I know it's a Western, but like, anyway, let's not talk about the music. So yeah, but they're sitting around, their process. They talk about their process, which is really cool for a writer, creative person to like try to understand where they're coming from. You can tell Filoni knows so much Star Wars lore, like so much, like I know the first 3 movies, like because I saw them. I mean, I worked in a movie theater when Jedi was out. It was like, I mean, I saw that so many times. But he knows books and comics and, of course, the whole Clone Wars thing. So, like, there's so much stuff. I mean, if you haven't watched the animated Clone Wars thing that's on Disney Plus, not the original one that was on, like, MTV or Cartoon Network. It was on Cartoon Network, I think. I haven't watched all of those. Those were like 2-3 minute ones. Those were pretty cool. There's a couple cool videos on YouTube about that too, which is where I got my information. But if you watch, but the Clone Wars, it'll take you a long time. It's 7 seasons, but it's good, and you got to get the backstory because the Bad Batch is coming now, right? So like the Bad Batch. But yeah. So what? The Bad Batch, IMDb. Arlen Waterhouse. I never even heard of that. I never heard. What? Rotten Tomatoes. So there's a couple Bad Batches out there, and not just the Star Wars one. But anyway, yeah, the Clone Wars. They're clones that didn't bake right, I guess. So yeah. So anyway, that should be pretty cool, I think. So we're going to get a spin-off series to the Clone Wars. You better know what the Clone Wars is all about so that you can like do the backstory on that one. All right, where was I? So we were talking about the Mandalorian. Oh yeah, right. So they were so the bad guys are who knows. So that's the thing. Who are the bad guys now, right? So who are the bad guys? That's the problem here. The problem is we don't know. Is Mando a bad guy? Oh, and Mando gets to take his helmet off. And so he's breaking all his own rules, right? So what's the rule? Are you allowed to take your helmet off? Are you allowed to take your helmet off only to eat? Are you allowed to do it to fulfill a mission? Uh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that going on. So they're blurring the lines. It's good. They're starting to get into story now instead of character. The characters are somewhat established, so they're bringing back other characters. Bill Burr's character coming back. That was super awesome. At the end of that episode where they're taking over they're trying to do the prisoner release, right? At the end of that, where the Twi'lek is like looking at the guy who hired Mando to do the job, and they see the X-wings come in, and they're swooping in, and he just goes, and he has his teeth in, like, you know, he's like his vampire teeth, like you're on Halloween, and you can tell because he's got a little bit of spit in there, and he says, are those X-wings? Are those X-wings? And they're coming in, they're gonna like, they're gonna destroy the hangar, you know, and so part of the gallery thing on Disney Plus, this is where I found this out, is that, yeah, those X-wings, they were the directors, right? So everyone except Favreau, I guess what was going on was there was a mock-up, like a full-size mock-up of an X-wing coming through, and I don't know, for some reason I don't think it was going to Disneyland, I think it was going to Disney World. And they had built it at Skywalker Ranch or somewhere, and then they were shipping it through, and they're like, it was gonna be nearby for a couple days, so they're like, hey, can we pull that off for a couple days and use it? And so they had it for like a day or two, and Favreau's like, y'all got to get into, each one of you have to get into this cockpit, and we're gonna do a thing. So they all got to play fighter pilots. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to sit in a full-size X-Wing mock-up? And now I guess it's on display in Disney World or Disneyland or whichever one it is. So, all right, well, I guess that's the Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7 that I got all geeked out about. So I guess that's going to be my podcast. If you guys want to talk about anything else, you put it in the comments, man. I appreciate it. And, you know, subscription, hit the bell so you know when the next one's coming out. And I appreciate your time. You guys take care. May the force be with you, and have a great, safe holiday. Enjoy yourselves out there, but be cool with each other. See if you can do something nice for somebody, you know? It's a lot of fun. Take care.